Question 7. Which equation represents the relationship between x and y in this table? From the values in the table, we have a linear relationship between x and y. If we were to graph y versus x, the result will be a straight line. And we know this because as x jumps up by 2, y jumps up by 1 each time. And you notice this from left to right. So every jump by 2 in x, we have a jump by 1 in y. Jump by 2 in x, we have a jump by 1 in y, and so on. Now the equation will be in the form y equals mx plus c. And this is the gradient intercept form of a line. Notice that the equations in all four options are in this form. So we need to determine the m, which is the gradient, and the c, which is the y-intercept, in order to determine which is the correct answer. Now the first thing that we can determine is the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis, and that occurs when x equals 0. And that's this column here. So when x equals 0, y equals 1. So this value here represents the y-intercept. And from the options, only two options have a y-intercept of 1 or positive 1, which is option A and option D. So options B and C are incorrect. The next thing we need to determine is the gradient. And we'll use the formula gradient m is equal to rise over run. And in order to determine that from the table, we need to pick any 2 points or any 2 columns. I'm going to choose the first 2 columns. Now the run is the difference in the x values, and the rise is the difference in the y values from left to right. And I've represented that on this diagram here. So I've chosen the first 2 columns. So the run is the difference between 0 and 2. And the rise is the difference between 2 and 1, or 1 and 2. Now from left to right, the rise is from 1 to 2, so the rise will be positive. So the run will be 2, and the rise is 1. So the difference between 2 and 1 is 1. So substituting those values into the formula, m equals rise over run, we have m is equal to a rise of 1 over a run of 2. So the gradient is half. Therefore, the correct equation is y equals half x plus 1, or x over 2 plus 1. Therefore, the answer is option D.